Hey people, it's Nahas talking. Now this is from the Daily Mail. Ohio Republican Congressman Stephen Stivers says $1,400 stimulus check should only go to people who get the COVID-19 vaccine. A slow rollout means that less than 6% of Americans have been able to get a shot. Ohio Republican Congressman Steve Stivers has said $1,400 stimulus checks should only go to people who take the vaccine, despite the government's slow rollout, meaning less than 6% of the population have so far been able to get the shot. Stivers told Yahoo Finance Live on Thursday he does not support President Joe Biden's plan to deliver a third stimulus check of $1,400 to millions of Americans financially impacted by the pandemic. And the congressman said he'd be willing to come around to the idea if the funds are directed only to Americans who take the vaccine, because he said this would buy herd immunity. Experts have said herd immunity, or when enough of the population is vaccinated to stop the spread of the virus, could come when around 70 to 90% of the population gets its shots. Stivers did not go into detail about how his plan will work, so it is not clear if he proposes people should only receive the checks once the shots have gone physically gone into their arms, something that Americans on current priority list is many months away. And I just want to say something. I was listening to the BBC News, and they were saying literally that these vaccines will still mean that you have to take masks and social distance because you can still spread. So they're admitting it on mainstream news that these vaccines are functionally useless. For many Americans, it is not a matter of choice to get the vaccine. Instead, they're at the mercy of the nation's dismal vaccination program that has been rapidly delayed from the get-go. The vast majority want to be vaccinated, with more than 60% of Americans saying they will probably get the vaccine when it's available to them, according to a Washington Post ABC News poll last week. Meanwhile, a separate survey by CNN found that 41% of Americans will get the vaccine as soon as possible if it became available to them. People feel they are being held up by issues with the rollout, with 59% saying vaccine distribution in their state is moving too slowly, 57% saying the process for getting a vaccine in their state has not been properly explained. Though most want to get the shot, just 5.6% of Americans have so far been vaccinated, and only 18.4 million doses administered, according to Bloomberg data, meaning Stivers' plan could pose a double disadvantage to many of both waiting for a vaccine or waiting for some much-needed financial relief. It's so important that we build herd immunity as soon as we can, said Stivers. While I'm not for giving $1,400 stimulus checks for anything, I would be willing to sign off on a stimulus check of $1,400 for people who take the vaccine. I hope the administration will look at that option, because we actually buy something for $1,400, and that's herd immunity. Stivers said the nation should only increase its debt for the right things, which he said means recovery from the coronavirus pandemic and herd immunity. Herd immunity, according to Dr. Anthony Fauci, one of the leaders of the U.S. anti-coronavirus efforts, could come when around 70-90% of the population is vaccinated. That's a far cry from the current vaccination rate of under 6%. The quickest thing we need to do is, if we really want to help the American people, is get this economy turned back on, get people back to work, get kids back in school, get ourselves some herd immunity, get the vaccine distributed as quick as we can, and get the uptake rate up. They call it herd immunity because only sheep take it. That's why I'd be willing to accept $1,400 stimulus checks if people were willing to take the vaccine. Stivers said he believes Republicans and Democrats can come together on a stimulus package to reach some common ground. There'll be things we disagree on, that's how America works, but hopefully there are things we can come together on, he said. He added, we're clearly the vaccination distribution, getting that out as quickly as we can, that is very important, that is super important. Does this guy have English problems? It doesn't seem to go very well in his grammar. Americans blasted Stivers' comments on social media, pointing out that many do not have access to the vaccine, and this will just hold up getting funds to people financially hard hit by the pandemic. Does this moron realize a very large part of the population doesn't have access to the vaccine and have no idea when we'll be able to get it? One person wrote. Good idea though, Steve. Hold up more stimulus money for struggling Americans. Another agreed, you have a lot of nerve, Steve Stivers, especially knowing that thousands and thousands of people don't even have access to it here. What about people who desperately need the money or have no access to the vaccine, possibly for months? Not surprising to see this kind of regressive policy from the GOP from another person. I was blasted the forceful tactic saying it takes away the right to medical freedom or the right to choose not to be vaccinated. Really, what happened to medical freedom? One person wrote. DailyMail.com has contacted Stivers' office for clarification on his proposal and for comment. His office didn't immediately respond. Days before he took office, Biden unveiled his $1.9 trillion coronavirus relief plan, which includes $1,400 stimulus checks for Americans. Congress will need to pass the relief bill before funds could be rolled out. This will mark the third round of checks after the federal government issued $1,200 payments in April and $600 checks in January. The $1,400 checks would take the latest round to $2,000. This was the amount Democrats led by House Speaker Nancy Pelosi, an unlikely ally of Donald Trump, pushed forward what was blocked by then Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell. Biden said he hopes for bipartisan support, but Republicans are expected to object to the plan. On Tuesday, Senator Pat Toomey of Pennsylvania said Biden's plan would be a colossal waste and economically harmful, while Stiver's plan to withhold the check from Americans who do not get the vaccine could incentivize people to get the vaccine. It could put some of the most vulnerable at risk. Once people are vaccinated, they will be protected from contracting coronavirus, making it safe for them to return to work. But those not vaccinated will still be at risk and possibly not be able to go to work or at least attend work in person, and it could be argued they are in greater need of financial assistance. Research also shows the majority of Americans want to be vaccinated, yet for those not in high-risk categories, it could be many months before they get the chance to get a shot. To date, just 18.4 million doses have been administered across the U.S., with an average of 939,973 doses administered per day in the last week, according to data from Bloomberg. The Trump administration has set a goal of inoculating 20 million Americans by the end of December, while Trump even claimed they would reach 100 million vaccinations in that time frame. Scrolling down. The federal government failed to deliver on its target, and just shy of 38 million doses had been delivered to the states as of Monday. The state rollouts have also been plagued by issues in administering the doses once they reach officials on the ground. So far, just 47.2% of all doses have reached states have been administered to the American public, with more than half sitting unused. This week, California state epidemiologist said it could take until June to vaccinate all residents aged 65 and over, pushing back the timeline for younger people to start getting shots by at least 4 months. And New York Governor Andrew Cuomo said it will take 6 months to vaccinate the current priority, including people aged 65 and over, the immunocompromised, and healthcare workers with the current rate of supply. The U.S. woeful vaccination program comes to the nation past the grim milestone of 400,000 COVID-19 deaths this week, while infections are now top 24.6 million. Biden has pledged to administer 100 million vaccines in his first 100 days in office. His plan will see 100 federal vaccination centers in large venues such as convention centers and stadiums, and states reimbursed for setting up their own as well. Some large cities are already setting up the centers, including Miami, New York, Los Angeles, but 100 federal sites will spread the idea across the country. And manufacturers will be ordered to, under the Defense Production Act, to produce vaccine materials from ingredients to needles, where there are shortages, as well as produce protective equipment such as N95 masks. Stivers told Yahoo Trump impeachment trial could delay legislation, including the coronavirus relief bill being passed. Last time the impeachment trial took 6 weeks in the Senate, and it doesn't take 6 weeks to go through the evidence. It takes 6 weeks because under the Senate rules, everyone wants to talk, and everybody gets to talk, and so it will take at least 4 weeks. And the big thing, it will slow down in the Senate in the confirmation of the President Biden's cabinet, but it will take up floor time that could be used to pass this coronavirus package and infrastructure package, housing package, he said. So I wish we weren't spending time impeaching somebody that is already gone, but that horse already out of the barn, I guess. Well, I hope you enjoyed that. Please comment, rate, share, and subscribe. I'm going to leave this article in the description. Peace.